He's leaving. He just wants to talk to you. Just hear him out. Lois, this has got to stop. He's going very far away, and you're not going to see him for a very long time. Honey, there are moments in life that you just don't get back, and I know you. If you do not deal with this now, it will haunt you forever. Fine. I've lost a son, but gained a baby. I tried.
I know.
Are you sure this is what you want?
Oh, it better be.
Francis? I'm listening.
This is what you get! This is what you get for the way you treated me! I'm going to Alaska, and you're going to be left without a son, and the horrible way you treated me is now a matter of public record.
I treated you? We made sacrifice after sacrifice for you, and you've caused us nothing but pain!
You want pain? I got your scars, baby. 3.5 years in that horrible school.
We went without for that school!
Oh, maybe I should thank you. Thank you, Mother, for making my life a living hell!
Living hell? You've been nothing but a problem since the day you were
your
born!
problems are over, lady, because I'm out of here!
What else are you willing to tell us about what's in book 5?
Can Jeremy Paxman work his magic on the creator of Harry Potter? J.K. Rowling, The Interview, next on BBC Two.
Programmes, tune into the CBBC channel.
Hello and welcome to the Big Read Battle of the Books.
What happens when big reads collide? Harry Potter versus Alice in Wonderland. Sounds like a fair fight. A clash of passions with two top reads supported by their biggest fans. The Big Read Battle of the Books, tonight at 9 on BBC 4.
Can't wait until midnight tomorrow for the new Harry Potter. Join Jeremy Paxman now on BBC Two as he talks to J.K. Rowling in a world-first interview.
There are books, and there's Harry Potter. They're the biggest phenomenon in the history of publishing. 200 million copies about a boy who discovers he's a world-famous wizard. They're sold in over 200 countries and translated into over 50 languages. Beyond the books is an industry, films, dolls, games and merchandise, making hundreds of millions of pounds a year.
Well now, Mr. Potter, let me see. He pulled a long tape measure with silver markings out of his pocket. Which is your wand arm? Well, I'm right-handed, said Harry.
All this from an idea which wandered into the mind of the then pretty penniless J.K. Rowling as she sat on a train. She imagined his story as a series of 7 books, each spanning a year at the Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry.
Every Ollivander wand has a core of a powerful magical substance, Mr. Potter. We use unicorn hairs, phoenix tail feathers, and the heartstrings of dragons.
The 5th book, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, goes on sale in 28.5 hours. It's confidently expected to have the biggest print run in history. The author of this phenomenon lives in Edinburgh.
So this is it?
This is it, yeah.
Are we allowed to look inside it?
Yes, a bit. Look there. Yeah, so that's it. And
How many pages?
how many pages? 766.
766.
All with writer's block, which I think you'll agree is a bit of an achievement.
You want to read the first sentence? Oh, actually, we know what the first sentence is.
You know what the first sentence is. I could read you a random sentence. No, not that one. That gives way too much away. You can have... Yes, but I think we ought to vote on it properly, said Hermione, unperturbed.
It's a very Hermione sort of thing to say,
It is a very
isn't
Hermione
it?
sentence, isn't it?
But do you find the whole secrecy issue, the need for secrecy, a bit ridiculous?
No.
Why not?
No, not at all, because but a lot of it comes from me.
Really?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, of course one could be cynical, and I'm sure you would be disposed to be so, and say it was a marketing ploy. But I don't want the kids to know what's coming, because that's part of the excitement of the story. And having, you know, sweated blood to create all my red herrings and lay all my clues, to me it's not a... I was going to say this is my life. It's not my life. But it is a very important part of my life.
Has it come at a price, this success and fame?
The fame thing is interesting, I suppose, because I never wanted to be famous, and I never dreamt I would be famous. So I know, you know, my fantasy of being a famous writer, and again, there's a slight disconnect with reality, which happens a lot with me. I imagine being a famous writer would be like being Jane Austen. You'd be able to sit at home in the parsonage, and your books would be very famous, and occasionally you'd correspond with the Prince of Wales' secretary. You know, I didn't think they'd rake through my bins. I didn't expect to be photographed on the beach through long lenses. I never dreamt it would impact my daughter's life negatively, which at times it has. It would be churlish to say there's nothing good about being famous. To have a total stranger walk up to you as you're walking around Safeways and say, I don't know, a number of nice things that they might say about your work. I mean, of course you walk on with a bit more spring in your step. That's a very, very nice thing to happen. I just wish they wouldn't approach me when I'm buying, you know, items of a questionable nature. Exactly, always, always. Never when you're in the fresh fruit and veg section, never. Always.
Do you think success has changed you?
Yes.
In what way?
I don't feel like quite such a waste of space anymore.
You didn't really feel a waste of space?
I totally felt a waste of space. I was lousy. Yeah, I did, yeah. And now I feel that it turns out there was one thing I was good at, and I'd always suspected I could tell a story. And I suppose it's rather sad that I needed confirmation by being published.
But and what about the money? Do you feel... A lot of people, when they suddenly make a lot of money, feel guilty about it.
Oh, yeah.
You feel guilt?
Yeah. Yeah, I do feel guilty, definitely. I feel guilty.
Why?
When it first happened, of course, I didn't immediately become very rich. The biggest jump for me was the American advance, which was enough for me to buy a house, not outright, but, you know, we'd been renting until then. And I didn't feel guilty, I felt scared at that point, because I thought, I mustn't blow this, I've got some money, I mustn't do anything stupid with it. And then, yeah, I felt guilty, yeah, I did. I mean, at least I could see cause and effect. I knew I had worked quite hard for quite a long time. Of course, the rewards were completely disproportionate, but I could see how I'd got there. So that was easy, it made it easier to rationalise. Muggles have garden gnomes too, you know, Harry told Ron as they crossed the lawn. Yeah, I've seen those things they think are gnomes, said Ron, bent double with his head in a peony bush, like fat little Father Christmases with fishing rods. There was a violent scuffling noise, the peony bush shuddered, and Ron straightened up. This is a gnome, he said grimly. Get off me! Get off me! Squealed the gnome.
Let's talk a little bit about the next book. Harry and Ron and Hermione are all going to be older.
Yeah.
How are they going to change?
Quite a lot, because I find it quite sinister the way that, looking back at the famous 5 books, for example, in I think 21 adventures they had, or 22 or something, they never had a hormonal impulse, except that Anne was sometimes told that she would make someone a good little wife whenever she unmade the picnic things.
But that's the usual pattern of children's books, isn't it? Swallows and Amazons is the same, isn't it? The children never age, but you
and it reaches its apotheosis in Peter Pan, obviously, where it's quite explicit, and I find that very sinister. I had a very forthright letter from a woman who had heard me say that Harry was going to have his first date or something, and she said, "Please don't do that. That's awful. I want these books to be a world where my children can escape to, and free." She literally said, "free from hurt and fear." And I'm thinking, have you read the books? She's talking about free from hurt and fear. Harry goes through absolute hell every time he returns to school. So I think a bit of snogging would alleviate matters a bit.
So there will be some pairing up, will there, in this book?
Well, in the fullness of time.
Unlikely pairings? Not Hermione and Draco Malfoy or anything like that?
I don't really want to say, because it will ruin all the fan sites. They have such fun with their theories. And it is fun. And some of them even get quite close. No one's ever, I have gone and looked at some of it, and no one's ever, there is one thing that if anyone guessed, I would be really annoyed, because it's kind of the heart of it all. And it kind of explains everything, and no one's quite got there, but a couple of people have skirted it. So, I'd be pretty miffed after 13, 14 years of writing the books if someone just came along and said, "I think this will happen in book 7." Because it's too late. I couldn't divert now. I mean, everything's been building up to it. I've laid all my clues.
Is Harry going to become a bolshy teenager?
He's a lot angrier in this book. He really is quite angry a lot of the time, and I think justifiably so. Look at what he's gone through. It's about time he started feeling a little bit miffed at the hand life has dealt him.
And when you look at a lot of that marketing stuff, that merchandise, when you look at things like the Harry Potter ice pumpkin slushy maker and all that junk.
Yeah. Is that a real thing, or have you made that up?
I'm serious. There's a list of about 50 of these things. Harry Potter embroidered polo shirts, the late night ride towel, Harry Potter and Ron Weasley alarm clock. I mean, it goes on and on.
Oh, I knew about the alarm clock. Yeah, some of it... How do I feel about it? Honestly, I think it's pretty well known. If I could have stopped all merchandising, I would have done. And twice a year, I sit down with Warner Brothers, and we have conversations about merchandising, and I can only say you should have seen some of the stuff that was stopped. Moaning Myrtle, lavatory seat alarms, and worse.
Well, that sounded rather fun.
I knew you were going to say, it's not fun, it was horrible, it was a horrible thing.
You could have said, no, I'm not going to have any merchandising.
I don't think I could at the time. Not at the time. This was in I'm so bad on dates. Must have been about 98, 99. I started talking to Warner Brothers. And at that point, I just didn't have the power to stop them. That is the nature of the film world, because they're very expensive films to make. And if they keep making them, which is obviously not guaranteed, but if they do keep making them, they're going to get really even more expensive. I mean, I shudder to think what they're going to say when they say, "See book 5," because I think they're starting to feel that I'm writing stuff just to see if they can do it, which of course I'm not, but, I know that there are headaches about the scale of the world that I'm writing.
But do you never worry that perhaps your legacy will be not this entire world that you created, but lots of bits of plastic?
Do I worry about honestly?
Yeah.
Completely honestly, no. I don't worry about it. I think the books will always be more important than the bits of plastic, and I really, really believe that, and maybe that sounds arrogant, but that's how I feel.
Do you even know, when it gets to the level that you're at, do you even know what you're earning? Do you know what you earned last year?
No. No.
Well, it's tens of millions, I guess.
I did ask I met my accountant recently, and I said, they say in the rich list I'm richer than the Queen. I said, so that means you've embezzled quite a lot of money. Because, I mean, I do know ballpark what I've got. I mean, I'm not that clueless. And I certainly have not got 280 million.
What is it, roughly?
Would I tell you?
I don't know, you can't blame me for asking.
No, I don't blame you for asking.